All right, we're live. Say good morning. How are you, Michael?
I'm good.
Thank you for
having me.
No, thank you for having us. I appreciate it. Good afternoon or good morning, everybody. My name is Alex Vidal. I am president of Related ISD International Realty and host of the show you are watching today, episode number 71 of the Closer Club. But this is a special edition of the Closer Club where the Closer Club gives back. And today we're sitting with Michael Capone, who is the founder of Global Empowerment Mission. And today is all about the Bahamas. This is unlike any of the other 70 episodes that we've done. Please listen. We're going to talk about what's the current situation in the Bahamas, how can you get involved, what do they need, and what separates Global Empowerment Mission from all the other charities that are out there, because we know that there are a ton. Michael, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So in preparing for this interview, you go from nightlife to development. We're in Museum Park. You're not Museum Park. Sorry, not 10,000. Where are we right now?
10 Museum Park.
10 Museum Park. Okay, I was right. Sorry, I got nervous before this. You're a developer here, founder of Global Empowerment Mission.
I was a helper in this project, but yeah.
And there's a beautiful view. I wish I could show you guys, but kills the light in the interview. Tell us a little bit about your path to becoming the founder of Global Empowerment Mission.
Well, it's interesting you brought up nightlife. I think it's an important skill that I acquired over the years that's actually really relevant, right? It's being able to move large masses of people into a nightclub, or being able to gather large masses of people to come together for a cause is really one of the same things. So I guess destiny brought me there. Being in the construction industry for years, right, and learning the ABCs of it, I do have a fairly good understanding now of what's needed to rebuild some of the things that can be rebuilt over there in the Bahamas. So, as you know, we were very involved with Haiti in the very beginning on a much smaller scale, but we were still, I've been to Haiti about 90 times since the earthquake, so that shows my dedication to it. We've been involved in, hundreds of different tragedies in the last decade, and some even prior to the forming of Global Empowerment. So I do believe that I've had significant training in this, definitely have an MBA in humanitarian causes at this stage of the game. So we've learned to be able to mobilize before a catastrophe hits the location. We know what's most likely going to happen. So here I had already made calls with Flytropic, and I knew that seaplanes were going to be needed to get to the outlying islands and stuff like that. And so we had all these things prepared. We were meeting with General Counsel. We were on the phone with Prime Minister and all different kinds of leaders from the Bahamian side before the storm was even hit. So we were able to, with Flytropic and a company called Blue Tide Marine, which consists of a whole bunch of former Navy SEAL guys, top level guys.
I've seen your videos. Those guys are
they're amazing.
Beast.
The level 6 to 9 SEAL guys. We had a whole army of people there with caravans bringing in ATVs, motorcycles, everything to assess. We did the first recon there while the storm was literally still over Grand Bahama Island. We were flying around. I was on that flight. So we started by bringing emergency aid, which we were collecting locally, like we always do in local community warehouses. And that's not that structured. People just drop off, the immediate needs, and we were able to get those all throughout the Abacos, and probably over 15, 20 different islands.
Let me pause you there for a second, because I do want to what was it in your life that sparked that passion to give back the way you're giving back now? And then I want to circle back to the Bahamas, because I think that's important for our audience to know that when they get involved with the Global Empowerment Mission, they're not just getting involved with somebody who's trying to be on camera, right? They're getting involved with someone who has a lifelong passion. So what was it in your life that sparked this huge, amazing effort that you're making, not only for Haiti, but the Bahamas and the Amazon and all that?
I think every human being has a destiny already written before they're born, and sometimes it takes us years and years to figure that out, right? And you reflect deeply on yourself, what you're best at, and really what you're meant here to do. And at the end of the day, this is what I feel is really my calling. So I've had to make lots of sacrifices and make a lot less money, in life to be able to serve others and stuff. So this is the path I've chosen at this point. There's no real going back.
So, and what I love about that is you're talking to somebody who has had major successes in nightlife and in real estate, and really giving that up to get involved with giving back to humans and to the planet. So let's go back to the Bahamas now. What do you've been to the Bahamas quite a few times. I've seen it on social media, on Instagram. Actually, how do they follow you on Instagram? It's Michael Capone?
At Michael Capone. And they should, because our stories there are very relevant. They're updated real-time info. It's almost like a virtual reality show that we have for our donors to be able to see exactly what's going on, where their funds are going.
So what are you seeing over there? What's happening in the Bahamas right now? 2 weeks later, I believe?
Yeah, so you have three main things going on. You have Grand Bahama Island, which has a port, which has substantial ways of getting goods there, and there's a lot of different foundations that are working there, and there's a lot of people helping those areas. Then you have places like Marsh Harbor that are completely wiped out. That, in my view, it needs to be completely cleaned up, bulldozed, and master planned properly, and rebuilt. And that's a really long process, and that could take 3 to 10 years before those type of places are really back up and running.
Sure.
Then you have other islands like Treasure Cay, and then you have other islands like Moores Island, and then you have tiny little ones like Sweetings Cay, for example, that have either suffered 30% damage, 50% damage, or 70% damage. And I went there with our teams and spoke to all the different island leaders, whether they serve basically as mayors with their councilmen. And we took a tour of, the hospitals, the local businesses, the restaurants. And as everybody here knows, right, because I know most of the developers in Miami, and you guys are all my friends, so this is a call out to you directly, right? And you guys know who we're close with. I believe we can we have put this master plan together that'll really work and really do things differently this time. So giving just aid to random grassroots groups, right, and expecting your 2x4s and your drywall materials and stuff to really be put to the best use, that could work. The way we're doing it is we set up a 60,000 square foot warehouse in basically Little Haiti, 7171 Northwest 12th Ave. That warehouse will basically be a mini Home Depot / Costco, and it'll be run like that. It'll have the proper staffing there that we're already setting up right now with construction trailers, with professional people running that. And the community leaders in these islands, let's just start first with an island that has a population of 150 people. There's a school there, and the school's slightly damaged. That school needs, half the roof to be repaired. It needs, X amount of drywall. It needs, X amount of 2x4s and all that.
Sure.
So we're getting lists directly from these school principals. These councilmen are giving us these lists, which we are basically giving at our warehouse to, let's say, the pro desk at the Home Depot, right?
The fulfillment center almost.
Exactly, right? So the request comes in for this island that these materials are needed. We pull them from our warehouse. We put them in containers, and then we basically send them off. Then we'll have somebody there on the behalf of GEM that's going to basically make sure that this is properly distributed, right? So house number 6 gets 5 sheets of drywall, house number 27 gets 30 sheets of drywall, and so on. School number 1 gets this. And that's how we're going to manage immediately the repair process for the outer islands that aren't too damaged. Let's keep in mind, Nassau is not able to hold everybody at this point, right? So there's a lot of people. We interviewed this little girl the other day. She was outside of a school in Moores Island, and she was explaining to us that she lived in Marsh Harbor, and she actually drowned and died. And she was resuscitated, and she was saved, and then she was brought over to Moores Island. Moores Island had a population of 1,200 people before. Now it's going to have a population of about 2,500 people.
And where are these 2,500 people living?
They're coming from the other islands that were around that got completely
Are they living in tents
destroyed.
and shelters?
They're all living in one house that's got a big giant hole in the roof, and there's 15 people living in a house instead of 5 people living in a house like before, right? So the first thing we need to do is fix the house that everybody's staying in. And then the local businesses, right? The person that had the local restaurant, their oven may have gotten, ruined because there was 20-foot flooding, right? So they're going to need a new oven. And you want to give them that's why it's called global empowerment. You want to give them the necessary tools so they can get back up and running. This isn't like, the U.S. is coming in and they're going to rebuild the Bahamas. We are empowering Bahamians to get back on their feet themselves. We're just giving them a package of what they need per island. We'll start with the small islands that can be repaired immediately, and then we'll start getting into the bigger projects over time. Right?
So what we're seeing of people living in shelters, living in tents, not a lot of food, et cetera, that's real. That's happening. Happening right now.
Yeah, that's absolutely real.
So what are some of...
So that's called short-term Band-Aid aid.
Got
right?
it.
So, and if you, because I've been to Haiti 90 times, if you don't clip that fairly soon, you will create a Haiti situation out of the Bahamas, which you do not want to do. You want to create a situation where you put them back on their feet so they can get their economy going immediately,
Got it.
get some tourism back immediately, right? And it needs to move fairly quickly. So the order of the most important things, right, is obviously infrastructure. So we need help with certain things on infrastructure. That's why we're choosing some islands right now that still have some decent infrastructure left. Moores Island, for example, 70% of the electricity is back up. The roads are okay. You just need to repair some roofs and get a school open. And then that'll house a lot of people. And
while you fix over here.
And you have one center island that's, basically 15 miles from, the center, then you'll start working on another one. So what I want to offer our friends and developers in Miami is to contact me personally, right? mc@globalempowermentmission.org. You guys know me. And I'll walk you through the whole program. And we will give, really good equal credits to, everybody. So for example, let's just take, one of our developer friends. And we want this developer to contact us, leverage their relationships with their suppliers, right? Come over to the warehouse, see what we're doing, understand, talk to our logistic people, and then basically get us 1,000 sheets of drywall, 10,000 sheets of plywood, right? Shingles, all that stuff. And then you'll see that get loaded in, right? Their brands and companies can have a major play in this. So it's their project, right? It's like adopt a family kind of program, or adopt a kid in Africa for $5 a week or a
adopting
month.
an island in the Bahamas.
So why don't you adopt an island or adopt a school if you can't adopt the whole island, right? But take on a project. You guys have got a lot of money. You've been really lucky in life. It's not very expensive. I'm telling you right now, with a couple $100,000 of building materials, which you guys could leverage fairly easy, you can really get this thing moving back up again. There's obviously a much longer play, right? We got to rebuild this, in a way that's hurricane-proof, flood-proof, and all that. But this is going to require a lot of time, right? So it's 205-mile-an-hour winds. There was, 50 tornadoes inside this storm. I'm not sure what windows can hold up anyways, for something like that. We got a major issue here with codes, right? We had to redo all the codes after Andrew. I think we're going to have to redo all the codes here again. I personally think if that thing would have hit Miami, every single window here would have blown out 100%. Everything would have been out of this apartment. So everybody should be very happy that it didn't come here. They took the blunt of this themselves, and the least we could do is help them get back to some kind of norm as soon as possible.
What about for people like myself? So I'm not obviously I'm connected to developers, but for all the realtors that are going to be watching this, that are just just regular people that don't own huge companies, what can they be contributing to Global Empowerment Mission? So we know what the developers, we plywood, all that stuff. But for the individual,
your tax returns are posted on our website. We've never exceeded 3.5% on our operating yearly costs ever. It's there, right? It's non-debatable, and we keep to that measure. It might one day be at 5%, but the majority of the expenses are going to be the proper management of the logistics here, you know. And if you don't do this right, if you just drop off a bunch of sheets of drywall and give it to some grassroots group and it ends up on some cruise ship and it gets donated at some port, I'm not sure it's going to be executed properly, right? So this warehouse needs to be managed properly and with the right teams. And so the monetary donations go to help us with these missions to be able to pay the right people to put into place, right? So none of us ever make any money off this construction. We don't have side deals. We don't do anything like that.
It's very important.
We just collect the materials and we give them to the proper channels and oversee that with teams, and all this is executed.
So for the individual right now, the most important thing really isn't food and water. It's the monetary donation.
It still is food and water, right? It still is, but let's start thinking smarter. So for example, we just got someone that donated $1 million machine that's solar powered, and it's a desalinization machine, and it produces up to water for 10,000 people per day. So one island gets that machine, now everybody has clean water. Now you don't got to bring a whole bunch of plastic little water bottles every minute, right? So now we just solved the water problem on that island.
And you're not polluting the earth.
So all this, right? So we don't need to deal with that anymore. The food, how do you solve the food problem? What did they do before? Most of the food is fish. They're asking for boats. I've literally interviewed hundreds of Bahamians. What do you need? What do you guys need? We need boats, man. We need boats. We need to get back into fishing. Someone has a little boat that's, a little $5,000 little boat laying around that's used with the little, 200 or 50 horsepower engine or something, they don't need anything fancy. We'll bring those boats out there. You'll get a picture of your boat being used in one of these outer islands by these local Bahamians and stuff. You'll get tax credits for that stuff. So let's give them all the different tools that we can do. And we need to look at the bigger islands, as a much bigger project, I think, and that's a whole different thing.
Sure.
We're just really focused on the outer abacos that need repair jobs in this phase 2 situation. And my goal, and it's and I've all my life, tried to do things quickly. We built 4949 Pine Tree in a year and a half. That was a $30 million construction project. So I think we're pretty good if we move quickly. And I personally think it's a very realistic goal that before Christmas, these schools in some of these islands are completely reopened. They're not damaged that bad. They really aren't. Just need to fix the roof, paint them, get some more desks in there, right? Clean it all up and activate it.
Well, what I love, what I found most interesting is, for me, I'm thinking, oh man, I have all this leftover water, this canned food, et cetera, and that's just, you're feeding somebody for the day versus teaching them to fish. That's that old analogy, right? Where it seems like you're more focused on, hey, we got the immediate handled. We need our mission right now, no pun intended with Global Empowerment Mission, our mission right now is to focus on getting them set up for the long term.
Yeah.
Right? What about human capital? If somebody wants to volunteer, are you still looking for volunteers? Are there volunteers needed still like Global?
Yeah, so every weekend we definitely need volunteers in the warehouse. It's 60,000 square feet, so it'd be like saying, do you need workers at Costco to put everything on the aisles, right? If it's not structured, it's never going to happen. You're never going to have a pro desk department. You need to be able to pull what you need. It needs to be, a row of drywall, a row of 2x4s, a row of food, right? A row of medical equipment and everything. So all that stuff can be done with volunteers, so we definitely need them. We definitely need monetary donations to keep all this going. There's gas, even if we get barges for free.
Where would they make those monetary donations?
On our website at www.globalempowermentmission.org, and you just earmark Dorian. We've raised about $1.3 million so far.
Okay.
We have distributed about $700,000 so far. Most of it went to the logistics of the Navy SEAL teams and the Flytropics and stuff. Flytropic made 2 really important deals. One was with Delta, they're the partners, and they made another deal with National Airlines. So our official stats is we've sent about 8 to 10 planes a day. We've officially sent 200,000 pounds of aid so far. We have 150,000 pounds going out this week. We've evacuated about 890 people through all the different flights, right? Brought them from each different locations. So those are big achievements, I think, and our teams have worked really hard on that. And Rob at Flytropic has been instrumental. And but all that needs to keep happening, right? It's far from over.
All right, so I think that's the best takeaway from this is the Bahamas are still in need. We need to focus on the long-term monetary donations, globalempowermentmission.org. We'll include it in the links. If they want to volunteer, I'm sure they can find the volunteer information there. Follow on social media, Michael Capone, at Michael Capone, and at Global Empowerment Mission as well. And guys, we still need a lot of help in the Bahamas. If you can, please give back. We're going to reach out to our developer friends as well. Michael, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Any parting words as I go behind the camera and turn it off? Any parting words for the audience?
Parting words. Thank you, everybody, and I hope to hear from you. All right.